connecting you to our community, 11 Connects.
Welcome to 11 Connects. I'm your host, Jen Lennon. Today I'm joined by Carl Carlson, founder and CEO of Carlson Financial. Nice to see you again, Carl.
Hello, Jen. Always great to connect.
It is always good to touch base. And I know, Carl, throughout this whole year, you're walking us through your epic 5I program, 5 different I's.
Yes.
We're touching on the 4th one today. Can you highlight what that is? And I know we're going to talk a little bit in depth about IRAs.
So the 4th I is income tax planning. And that becomes very important around this time of year when everybody is trying to decide, do I put money into my IRAs for 2020 because you only have until April 15th, Jen?
Right. And that's the thing is people need to remember if they did not contribute to 2020 to their IRAs, they can do so until the 15th. So how do we know,
Yes.
Carl, if we should be contributing? And talk to me about Roth IRAs versus traditional IRAs.
Yes, so you have to look at, there's a lot of limitations, income limits, phase outs, a lot of different things that are going to govern whether or not you can put money into those IRAs. But the question is now, once we know, okay, let's say we can put money in, now do we put the money into the Roth IRA or the traditional IRA? And that becomes very tricky trying to figure that out because it depends on various things.
Okay. And so I know you have some tips for us to consider when evaluating those two things. So give us your 3 best tips.
Yeah, so I would say the 3 key things to look at when you're trying to determine, do I put money in the Roth IRA or the traditional? And remember, when you put money in the traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction today, and then you pay the taxes later when you take it out. But with the Roth IRA, you pay the taxes today, and then when you take it out, it's tax-free. So sometimes it feels really good to get that deduction today, but we work with people that are down the road and wishing, I wish I would have done the Roth. So you got to figure that out. 3 key things are your income, your tax bracket, and the tax rates. So you're trying to determine, is it low now and going to be high later, or is it high now and going to be low later? And determining those for your income, your tax brackets, and your tax rates are the key to figuring out, should I put the money in the Roth or the traditional IRA?
Okay, so I get the idea of income. Is my income going to increase in the next 10 years or perhaps decrease depending on where I am in the stage of life? But talk to me about tax brackets and tax rates and what control I may or may not have over those things. Probably very little, right?
Well, unless you're going to run for the Senate or the House, but otherwise, maybe not as much. But so the thing is, tax brackets, that is the bracket within which your income falls. So right now there might be a bracket between 15,000 and 80,000 where you're paying 12% in taxes, but when you go over 80,000, that next bracket is 22%. So one thing is, are you in a low bracket now and going to be in a high one later, or vice versa? And can they change the brackets? Answer to that question is yes. So if right now the top of the 12% bracket is 80,000, they could actually lower that to 60,000. And so that could affect, when you're taking money out in the future, how much tax you're paying. So tax brackets are important to watch and understand when you're talking about Roth versus traditional. And then tax rates. So tax rates is, what rate do I pay within the bracket? So I just said,
so all of this, Carl, is very overwhelming. So the point is calling an expert. I know you're here to help us. We can just pick up the phone and get the conversation started.